This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good afternoon and welcome. It's a beautiful, if slightly chilly afternoon here in the Lowveld of South Africa. Those are some dwarf mongoose and we're hoping for a bumper live safari. So we started off our live safari with some of the smallest, well, definitely the smallest carnivores that we get out here. My name is James Hendry, and on camera today, the enormously bicepped BK Bokomoso. There is his thumb, only because his biceps won't fit on the camera. Please do talk to us during the course of the show. We'd love to hear from you. You can talk to us using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter. Otherwise, you can send us an email if you're a youngster to the email address kidsquestions@wildearth.tv, kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. We'd love to have your questions, comments, anything you'd like to say about the animals or landscapes that we're going to see today. We're sitting with this little troop of dwarf mongoose that is foraging around. They're looking for any kind of invertebrate that they can devour. They're also grooming each other, so I think maybe the foraging for the day is over, and they are just going to now do a little bit of sort of social bonding before they go back into their mound.
I wish that this grey go-away bird had a friend to do some social bonding with, but it's looking very, very pretty, perched on the top of this dead tree. It's a gloomy day down here on Djuma Game Reserve in the Sabi Sands, and that grey go-away bird fits in perfectly. Hi everyone, my name is TRISHALA and I've got Theo on camera this afternoon. Like I said, a bit gloomy, but that may be good for the predators because they won't get overheated, so they can be on the move, which is important because that's how we get to actually find them, by the bush giving us clues about them. And when they're lying in the grass, tired and hot, nothing else sees them. So when they're on the move, we can get clues from birds like this, grey go-away bird. It has an alarm call that goes, wah, wah. but it's notoriously unreliable. But we may also get clues from squirrels, which go chee. In fact, I heard some squirrels around this area. I'm around Gallego-Pan. You'll be getting familiar with Juma now. And I was hoping that there may be a predator around. But they're also unreliable. We really want to hear the alarm calls of antelope. Those are the most reliable. I'd say for myself, kudu would be the best. If I'm quiet, you'll be able to hear some birds in the background. No, birds, you don't be quiet. I'll be quiet. The birds have decided to go quiet just as soon as I said that. But if you do hear a light cheep, 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 that would be blue waxbills. Oh, there's the grey go-away bird calling. And off it goes. I think that's our cue to keep on moving as well. And see what the bush wants to offer us today. Often that's the way you've got to do it. You can look for animals, and sometimes the bush offers you some animals. So let's go ahead and see what it has to offer us this afternoon.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is brilliant having you with us on this absolutely magical afternoon out here at Swala Kalahari. David on camera, as always, and I'm Dylan. Any questions you want about this environment that we're in, it could be landscapes, animals, birds, insects, plants, ecology, whatever you want, and we'll do our absolute best to help you out. I hear our colleagues are having some amazing sightings already. All we're going to do, we're just ambling through this landscape, and we just really want to be out and appreciate every single aspect of it, regardless of how big it may be or how small it may be. And if you can join us on this, that would make me the happiest person, almost the happiest person in the world. And yeah, but it's great. So directly behind where the vehicle is parked, where David is where the baboon/lion incident took place yesterday. And we're not going to focus on trying to find these lionesses with the cubs. That's not going to be my intention. But we are just going to amble around. If we happen to pick up really fresh tracks, we'll see if we might follow up on them. You know, I'll see how the day goes, the afternoon goes, and Ruldi has asked, why are the rocks in Swalu so sharp? Is that correct? Yeah. Okay, that is a very interesting question and a very challenging one to answer. So we have various rock types on Swalu. In fact, we've got the three major rock groups. It's primarily these quartzites, which are very, very ancient, and they've been dated to about 1.6 billion years old. There's actually some papers that a gentleman sent me yesterday in terms of the aging these rocks and that, and it's fascinating stuff. But be that as it may, they are fold mountains. So imagine taking a slab of cement, whatever thickness you want, and just putting pressure on either side, slightly downward pressure on either side, and you're going to see what happens to that cement. It starts cracking, and then it'll start fracturing upwards like that. And that's essentially what we're seeing on this landscape. But they're so old that they're actually starting to weather off on top already. So not all of the rocks are as sharp as they look.
Here is a hyena, and it is none other than the matriarch of the Juma clan herself, Ribbon. I know that's not a very dramatic name for the leader of a mafia that stalks the land here, taking what they want when they want, but that is in fact her name, Ribbon. And I think what she's done is given up parenting for the moment. She's close to the den site where her babies live, and I suspect she's just had enough. And now she's come to spend a bit of downtime on her own. and is enjoying a nice snooze here in the afternoon. And as I was saying, it's quite cool this afternoon, but the wind has dropped, which means that the temperature is quite pleasant. So she's lying out in the open, catching the odd little bit of sun as it floats by, and just relaxing close enough to home so that if there's any distress, she'll be able to go back, and far enough away so that she won't be disturbed. She's looking very well. Coat looks healthy and strong, and I suspect that she's going to lie here until close to sunset, so another 2 hours or so, and then she'll probably make her way back to the den and suckle the youngsters, play around with them a bit, and then as it gets dark, she'll get up and move off and go foraging for the night, maybe on her own, or if there is the sound or smell of a kill nearby, she and the rest of the clan might go together and see what they can steal. At the moment, however, I suspect that the only thing she's going to do is what she's doing right now, which is have a very pleasant snooze on a very pleasant Monday afternoon. Must be quite nice, really, Monday afternoon without a care in the world. And so we'll sit here and see what she does, and then we'll move on and see what else the reserve has to offer. Hello all of you who are watching on the interwebs. I hope you're all well, enjoying this television spectacular that we are delivering to the South African Broadcasting Corporation, channel number 3. Sent to, I think, also our neighbours actually. Probably goes into Zimbabwe and Botswana and Namibia. This hyena is so satisfied, so relaxed. Ooh, as I say that. Let me just move around her face. Move around her face. Move around so that we can see her face. Don't mind us, my dear. You stay right where you are. We've just moved around Ribbon so that we can get another good look at her face, and for those of you who don't know her, I thought what I would do is just try and show you. She's one of the easiest hyenas to recognize because her left ear is, well, it's in the shape of a bee. It's got a chunk out of it. If you could show it to us, please, Ribbon. That is just typical. It's the other side. Let me move very quickly so that you can see. I'm really not good at identifying animals. I don't know why I'm so bad at it, but this one I can recognize because her ear is very distinctive. She's going to make us drive all the way around her. There we go. There we are. So BK will now just show you her ear, and you can see she's not vaguely concerned about us. She's very comfortable around vehicles because she's seen so many of them. Now obviously that ear can change. It can be subjected to various fights and that sort of thing, but for now I find her relatively easy to identify.
Hello, good afternoon everyone, and welcome back to the beautiful Masai Mara. Yes, it's me again, lovely people. Isaac, and on camera is Big James. And this afternoon, we are at the marsh. Would like to share with you what is around here. Remember to talk to us on Twitter, #WildEarth. This is live and happening right now from the Masai Mara. This is the first arrivals to the marsh. When I talk about the marsh, there is a marsh very close to Little Governors and just below Ololo Escarpment, very close to the Mara River. Over here, these guys arrived this morning and they are in their thousands. I cannot tell you the sight. Just have a look around. Now from here to where I was this morning is approximately 25 kilometers, and from here to there is just back-to-back wildebeest. It is happening. This is the great wildebeest migration. We have a guy who's a little bit tired. He's sitting down there. Over here there is no problem, there is no tension. Everybody is munching away, quietly enjoying the red hot grass. Those are some cattle egrets. Yeah, they are enjoying the grass. Easy Pix, I think I had your name, sorry. It was hard to understand. You say, where are the wildebeest when they are not migrating? Unfortunately, they are always migrating. They will be here, but tomorrow they might not be here. They might be across the river, and another week they might be at Lookout Hills. They might be at Ntalek. They might be at a place called Kikarok. And in the next 1 month they'll be in Tanzania, in the northern side. So they're always migrating. Okay, that is a very beautiful sight. Look at that. We have a herd of elephants. It looks like a matriarch and her sisters and their offsprings heading our way. So I'm gonna leave you to enjoy that.
Well, we don't have something as spectacular as thousands of wildebeest, but we do have 3 warthogs here at Pridelands, just outside the Eco Training Camp, which is part of the Greater Kruger as well as Baluli Game Reserve. My name is TAYLA MCCURDY, and on camera with me today is Sebastian, and we are very excited that the wind is not blowing as it was this morning, so that's a positive. But we've got some of my favorite warthogs. Oh, never mind, and an elephant. Oh, whew, look at that, Seb. We came back to camp just at the right time. Now, the reason why I love these 3 warthogs so much is because they're residents in camp. There's 2 boars. Those looks like those 2 over there having a little bit of a tussle. Not that they need to be fighting with one another, as rutting season for the warthogs is now over, and they've actually been socializing with one another quite nicely. But there was a point where they weren't too happy with one another, and they were having a huge fight. And often when warthogs fight, they make serious squealing sounds, and it sounds like they're being killed by a leopard. But luckily, it was just them. But they come around camp all the time. They come and graze in the gardens, just as an elephant is doing too. That's really cool for anybody wanting to train to be a safari guide here at Eco Training, to literally be surrounded and living with the wildlife. But I don't think it'll be too long before this elephant and his friend who's come out from behind the bushes. Oh my goodness, there's not 2 elephants, but there's a 3rd one on its way too. But they're coming right down to the dam that's named appropriately Ndlovu Dam, which means elephant. Seems like it's a bit of a race now. They've definitely picked up the pace. You see the warthogs don't mind, but they'll probably just keep out of the elephant's way. Or who knows, maybe they'll try and come down for a drink at the same time. That could prove to be quite entertaining. But it's a lovely afternoon now, even though the clouds are quite thick and heavy, creating this very ominous sky. Like I said, at least the wind has gone a bit less. Oh, there we go. The elephant just walking straight up and over the dam wall. Not going to drink from this side. I think he's going to go to one of their favorite drinking spots. This is a bull that we also get to see quite regularly, and I know that because of his very abrupt broken tusk on the left. So those are those white things sticking out of his face. Essentially they're teeth, but you know, not the way that we use them, more of a digging tool and other things. But we'll see. What have you stopped to look at? I think the elephant has just realized that we're here and maybe got a little bit of a fright. Well, not a fright, just not so certain about us. Because it's very unusual for me to be sitting nice and quietly. Oh my goodness, look, there's buffalo coming down now too. Sebastian? Yes! You have no idea. We were so worried the whole day that we weren't going to see anything. And now we've got warthogs. We've got some buffalo bulls slowly making their way down. And then, of course, the elephants. What an afternoon. Look at that spread of horns on that buffalo right at the back. Goodness gracious. I don't know if he's going to fit through that gap between all those trees. Oh, watch your step. Almost slipped and fell there. Oh, and then of course we're going to have an elephant. They always want to hog the camera and be on screen all the time. But this should be really, really interesting now. Because buffalo are stubborn. Elephants are the biggest. And they don't like it when anyone else is interested or comes around their dam. Look, that's elephant is showing off now because of the warthogs. Maybe the strange light is playing tricks on his eyes. I don't know why you'd be terrified of a warthog. Do you realize how big you are, elephant? Anyways, it's going to be quite funny. Nonetheless, poor Sebastian's having to do acrobats in the car this afternoon because all the animals are coming from every direction. But this is what we love. Oh, it's our friend the elephant. Okay, so this elephant is quite interesting, this fellow over here. You'll notice that his back right leg is slightly shorter than his other legs, and unfortunately he can't walk properly. We don't know what happened to him. Whether it is an old injury and maybe a muscle or a tendon has been pulled from the bone that's caused the shortening, or maybe it's just a birth defect. But he is doing just fine. It just takes him a little bit longer to get to places. But he's still growing quite nicely. And the other Ellies have already made their way down to the dam, but he'll get there a little bit later. There they are. I don't think there'll be much splashing around, although I hope there will be. But that's just something you'll have to wait and see if they do decide to have a swim. Hello, internet people. How are you? I hope you're well. I hope that you're all saying, yes, we're fine. Thanks very much for asking, Taylor. How are you? Sebastian and I are good because we've got chocolates this afternoon. Hey, Seb.
Oh, yeah.
Oh. Do you know what I'm actually really curious to see is how this elephant goes down the steep slope. That's going to be fascinating. He moves quite quickly, though. He really does cover some ground. Right, let's see how he does this. Ooh, Londeka, sorry. I know you've just tried to speak. 30 seconds. Ah, thank you very much, Seb. Sorry, I don't know why I couldn't hear you there, but Sebastian has kindly relayed the message. Come on, elephant. Although I think he's done this a couple of times, so I don't think it's going to be too difficult for him.
10.
Welcome back to your live African safari, just in time for the elephant with the shortened leg to very gracefully make his way down the slope. Look how he's utilizing a different angle to what the other elephants did. They went straight down the steepest part, but that's of course going to be a bit tricky for him. So he made that work. So you can see, even if you do have some kind of a disability out here in the wild, you've got to survive. You can't let that hinder you. And there's another elephant that's just standing next to him that also looks like it has something wrong with its trunk. Can you see that? So the elephant on the right-hand side, you'll notice that the tip of his trunk is missing, which is a very common, it's very sad that we see this, but it is a common thing to see. And that could have been caused by a snare, perhaps. So if you don't know what a snare is, it's essentially a wire trap. And what happens is people will set those out to catch smaller animals, normally for bushmeat, but unfortunately sometimes animals get stuck. But you can see two animals with two very different injuries surviving in the wild as if there was nothing wrong with them.
David and I have just been marveling at the exceptional camouflage of this bird we're looking at. Now, forget the fact that it's standing behind a bush now. It'll move into the open. But when he moves out into the open, you're going to see just how well camouflaged this bird is. Okay, he needs to get into the grass now. It's like, yeah, look how well camouflaged. You could never see that bird walking in the open like that. No, just give him time. Okay, so this is called a red-crested korhaan. Red-crested korhaan. It's a very, very common bird across much of southern Africa. It avoids a very, very arid area. So coming back to that, just bear in mind we are in a what we call a semi-arid savanna, not an arid savanna. But what I'm really enjoying is that the fact that he's actually quite relaxed with the vehicle and he's busy feeding. Oh, yes, he got something there that was fighting back, whatever it was. So he's a mixed feeder, so he'll actually be eating seeds as well as insects. They have been known to catch little lizards and things as well. He's got a beautiful display flight, and you've probably, or you may have seen it with our colleagues in the other areas where they occur, where they fly vertically. The males, they go straight up in the air, then they fold their wings and they tumble to the ground, flare their wings just before they get to the ground. But also called a suicide bird. Pretty incredible display.
Here we have got a hippopotamus, and this hippopotamus has obviously arrived here during the day because it wasn't here this morning. Now, people often ask, do hippopotamuses move between waterholes? And the answer is clearly yes, they do. We often see their tracks at night, but normally you wouldn't expect to find a hippopotamus in a waterhole that it wasn't occupying that morning. Well, clearly this chap was moving during the day, which is not that surprising given that it's a very cool day and there's not much sun. In fact, there was almost no sun today at all. And so this bull, I'm assuming it's a young bull, has come across and has taken refuge here in this waterhole, which is normally only occupied by two blacksmith lapwings, one of which dive-bombed that hippo as we arrived. And then I think, BK, if you look at the log at the far end there, it looks to me like that water monitor lizard might be there on the left-hand side. No, not there. My eyes have deceived me. Let us follow along the log and see. There's a cut that looks like a water monitor lizard. No, I think because there's no sun, the lizard has probably sought shelter somewhere else. But he's a very fine fellow that often lives on the end of that log. Our hippo is back out of the water. Some hippos are territorial, yes, but a young bull like this won't necessarily be. So, oh, as I say that, he's making a bit of a territorial motion now. You wouldn't really actually expect them to be considered territorial at this age. But he's displaying to us now. So he is sort of indicating some territorial behavior. But normally what happens is when they're big and old enough, they set up territories in a waterhole like this or in a river, and they'll allow females into those territories. Oh, look at that. He doesn't look that young either. So maybe he will set up a territory here.
Well, Jumbo, hello everybody, and hippos in the water, and here we got crocodiles in the water, and we are on a river, or on the riverbanks of the Mara River. See the way it flows, and to me, by any standard, this river has a lot of water on this very good afternoon. My name is David, and on camera this afternoon with me is Bungay. Bungay, how are you? Pretty warm, as you have seen those crocodiles out of the water, because it's warm. I mean, when we're talking about 27 degrees Celsius or 81 degrees Celsius, I mean Fahrenheit rather, it indicates quite warm where we are in the Mara. Remember, you're always welcome to ask us questions or send us comments, and as usual, hashtag WorldEarth on Twitter, or for kids questions, you can send us emails using kids questions at worldearth.tv, or alternatively at FC in the comment section of the YouTube channels. So I came here purposely to find out whether there could be any action along the river. Isaac was here this morning, and we just made a quick plan in the afternoon after lunch that the afternoon, or rather the river, will be mined the whole afternoon. So those are mainly my plans for today, to stick around the river, see anything that could be happening. And at the moment, they're just crocs. Bungay might be showing you some wildebeest that were not very lucky to cross the river, and not sure whether they were brought down by crocs. I would guess yes, because, for example, that one. This is all what happens during the migration. Not all the wildebeest will make the whole cycle from Serengeti to the Masai Mara in Kenya and back. But again, so many things will happen to make them not complete the journey. Well, I'll just move on, because I don't think much is happening here, and find out another location where we might see any wildebeest close to the river.
It's incredible that going from such a vast open area with a lot of water, carcass and that, to these lines just all flat at the moment. And you can see they're all scattered across. There's some under the tree, there's some off to the side here, and even look at the one right here off to the left, how big that belly is. So you can see they're very full, and these lines are probably not going to be heading anywhere pretty soon. So I'm Nikki, here at Ambient in Gala. I'm going to be your ranger for this afternoon, and with me on the camera is Gert. Just going back to these lines is, so this morning we tracked them for quite a bit, and eventually as we came around this area here, we found the majority of the pride down to all here in the road, and the rest of them are still further on. But there's a few scavengers around, like hyenas as well as jackals, so which tells us that the kill that they made probably during the evening is not too far away from them. But it's amazing, like, just look at how these two are facing each other, and I wonder if they are possibly the two brothers now. The one that's closer to us is the young white male, and the one just on the other side looks like the brother. You can see there's a little mane around the ears and under the chin. it's just crazy. Like if you just look at all these lines, it basically looks like they randomly decided to come and lie down in this area here. And you know what? There's no water around this particular area, so they'll eventually have to start moving more in a easterly direction. So just to orientate everyone, so the road, if you had to look where they are lying down, if you had to go or come towards us, it's in a southerly direction. If you go past them, it's in a northerly direction. So to the right of the stream is east. So these lines would eventually head up in an easterly direction towards the nearest water to go and have a drink. Earlier on, we were chatting about some of the scavengers that are around. So I'm going to try and direct everyone to see if you can see what scavenger is lying down here. So where these lines are, just to the left of it, there's this old broken down branch, and there's a little window past it. So if we go to that broken down branch right in front of us here now, in the back, you might just notice this little figure, bit of grey, you can see sharp ears. So that's a black-backed jackal that's just lying down at the back. And that's why I was wondering maybe earlier on if there could be a carcass nearby. Because imagine now, the lions probably made a kill, they've moved away, but this particular jackal doesn't want to get too close to where that kill would be because of the lions around. If he is too close, the lions could possibly kill that jackal. So now, just resting on the outskirts, patiently waiting for these lions to move off to go and see if there's a bit of meat or some scraps.
Our hippopotamus has given us one more little display with his enormous teeth, and I'm hoping he's going to do it once more as I start speaking, and then we'll move on and see what else we could find. So, as I was saying, yes, hippos are territorial, but when they're around this age, they're not normally particularly territorial because they're still looking for optimum habitat in order to establish themselves in a territory. So this guy would ideally want a space in the Sand River, which is about 7 kilometers to the south of us, or a bigger waterhole where he can set up a territory and then try and take over or I suppose form a pod of his own. So the young bulls like this are often on their own before they're big enough to take over a territory or occupy a territory and fight off a territorial bull. And that doesn't stop him feeling proprietorial over an area like this while he's in it. So although it won't be a permanent territory, he will like to set this up as a temporary refuge. Here we go. Yes, very good. Not quite as good as I thought it was. Oh, spectacular display. Well done. Giving him a clap. He did really well there. Hello, Rick. Hippos like to eat grass, if you can believe it, just grass. And they go out at night, and in this case of this chap, because he was moving around in the day, he probably ate some grass on the way here, but normally they go out at night and they find a nice area where there's some longish grass, or short grass actually, and then they eat that. They don't eat fish. They sometimes eat water vegetation, but otherwise it's almost exclusively grass.
if anything would eat vegetation where we are and eat lots of that are the animals that you see on your screen. I mean, we saw one dead one a few minutes ago, but now I want to show you live ones, and I will maybe first, before I say anything, request to you just to have an idea what wildebeest migration is all about by looking at the sheer numbers of these animals. Possibly also, apart from looking, see whether you can hear them going. Now, one of the biggest spectacles to happen in Africa is the wildebeest migration. Of course, we got other animals that migrate. I mean, we got we all know butterflies will migrate during winter. But talking in Africa, we got what you call the white-eared cobs, I think around Ethiopia or Sudan, which you also migrate, but there's nothing that is compared to the wildebeest migration. This is quite a spectacle because they move in their thousands. I'm talking of hundreds of thousands. Now, the migration, we all know, is between two countries, Kenya and Tanzania, Serengeti National Park and the Masai Mara Game Reserve. And this movement of these animals is all around the year. The cycle doesn't stop. So the river is not very far from where I am, and I think after that great view that I've shown you, I'm gonna head out to the river and cross fingers for any potential crossing.
Good afternoon, everyone. It is Tim from and Beyond Pina Private Game Reserve. We have Craig right behind the camera, and we just, as you can see right here, we just located the cheetah with two cubs, which is wonderful. She looks like she's more successful hunting at the moment. As you can see right here where she's standing facing, she's trying to scan. Wow, look at that face. Look at the way she's looking. Lovely, lovely cheetah cubs. Wow, look at that. Cubs are just resting now. There's a very good termite mound. She just sat on top of it. And you can see, like listening. So imagine if you spot something like impala even from a distance. Cheetah have very good eyesight. They can easily make straight away if she spotted something. Shame for that little cubs. They'll be following until she starts stalking, and then they stay behind. Yeah, the way she look more successful hunting now, but doesn't look like she came across for anything. We'll see what she's thinking. Look at the way she looks like she might be spotted something or heard something. Not quite. Look at the little cubs just sitting nicely tied together with them, with the mom. I'm sure they like keep on saying, "Mom, we need something to eat." I'm not sure how long ago was the last time for them to make kill. Maybe probably from yesterday or day before. Doesn't look like too fat. The calves, if you look at their face, they also have a different looking. They looks like they're different color. One's got a bit more dark, one is a bit more light. While they're still sitting here
watch you sit and wait and see what they end up going to.
Look at this wonderful bird. But I found one of the more common birds we find here in the Sabi Sands. It is the crested barbet. Things have been very, very quiet, but we have seen some fabulous birds. And the problem with birds is that they very easily fly away. And that was on cue for that crested barbet. Now they're omnivorous, so they'll be going after little bits of seeds, fruits, as well as insects. Can we see them again? Oh! I love how they hop around in the grass. You'll see how they'll jump down onto the ground, move grass around to try and find some insects, and then back up into the tree. Where are you, crested barbet? Oh, there we go. And back on the ground again. Really interesting. I hope we can do a spot of birding then this afternoon. I hope you have your bird lists ready. Well, crested barbets knew exactly how to play with me for SABC, didn't they? I can't say I'm very surprised. Let's see if we move a little bit further back. Oh, it's a Birchall starling, my fave. Also really, really common. But I do love seeing them. Oh, a little gift for our internet audience there. There it is. Doing much the same as the crested barbet. I love when I see them hanging out together. Crested barbets, starlings, squirrels, mongoose, and hornbills. That is a proper party.
It's incredible how this youngster is just enjoying mom's milk at the moment. You can see just slightly off to the right of where this one is, there's the young female lying down. And so it's the brother that's just sitting there and now having a little bit of a drink. Just notice how relaxed this young cub is now. The way she's breathing probably tells us that her belly is quite full, and that all that possibly milk, I don't know if she might have had a bit of meat as well to eat. Now all of that is pushing against the diaphragm, which makes it that short of breath that we can see there. But look at this one here. So this is the young male. He's really thirsty and he's just trying to see if he can get a little bit of milk from mom. Now currently, there are quite a few hyenas around, as well as there's another jackal that's just moved a little bit closer towards us. I just want to see where this jackal moves, and then we'll try and get another angle on him. Now, he's moving away from us. We won't be able to see him properly, but from where this young cub is lying down, there's another lioness just beyond this female we're looking at now, and you can see her head is up and she's staring into like in a westerly direction, so somewhere along the tree line there she's looking at something. It might be another hyena, because it's right of her there's a hyena as well as a jackal. So if we go slightly right, you might just see there's a jackal that's going to move into the picture. So there he is. Holistic, the cubs were born, I'm just trying to get my bearings right, so they were born probably around March this year, so that means March, so around about 6 months old now, these young cubs. So I do remember, so it was hard to put exactly the time on it, because I remember it was during our lockdown time when they were born, and I can't believe how much they've grown in the last few months. Look at that female, she's staring quite intently in that direction, so I'm sure, like knowing this pride as well, there's quite a few occasions where we found that they've actually killed hyenas that have gotten too close, but that hyena might have moved off, and now she's just lost a little bit of interest and now decided to go and lie down.
Oh, welcome back again, good people. Look what we have here. A beautiful herd of elephants munching away on the grass. This looks like one big extended family, maybe related sisters and their offsprings. A good 25 maybe or so of them. They are grazing slowly towards me, so it's gonna be super cool, if you want to say awesome, when they get closer to us. Remember, these are residents, unlike the wildebeest that we've been concentrating on. That is a beautiful female. Look at her. Her body is not as big, but she's got very big tusks. Sorry, that name I didn't get, but bittersweet. Yeah, beautiful name. You asked me, do young ones recognize their mothers? Yeah, that is very obvious, because from the beginning they will get an imprint of their mother's smell, because she doesn't allow anybody to get close to the young one. Immediately it's born, and the bond is very quickly created, because she will get her milk or his milk within the first hour, and that is automatic, that she will recognize her mother for the rest of her life or his life. Those two there still are females. Look at the temples, they've sunken in. Sometimes it's a good way of telling, or aging them. The female to the left, she's quite big, very interesting tusks. Look at them. They've grown almost crisscrossing one another. I wonder if that's why she's not as big, because when they're widespread, they're much easier to use, debarking trees, digging minerals in the ground. But when they're like that, I think they could hinder her from performing certain things that will help her grow big. They look very relaxed. Over there looks like they're digging for soil. Look at that. This is slightly different. They're not eating grass at all. Yeah, they are digging soil, so it either could have some minerals or some salts. They have been known to dig salts from the ground when they need minerals. That little guy to the left, yeah, I remember last year we saw him. We called him Stumpy. It's nice to see him. Now I think he's around 2 years. He was 1.5 last year, February, I remember. Yeah, beautiful. It's really nice. He looks very, very healthy. He wishes he had a longer tail. He's moving it. It's not moving as much. Yeah, that's another female there. I don't know if that's her mother. I can't tell. Remember to engage me on Twitter, hashtag Wild Earth. Questions, comments are very welcome. This is coming live from the Masai Mara, and it is a beautiful evening. I don't know what mission they are on, because already they are forming a line from Stumpy. There is another 2 to the left, and the rest are coming. Look like the herd has split now. Yeah, it is. Looks like it has split. Yeah, those are the last ones, and then the others have gone further back. So it looks like there were 2 herds that had come together, like I said, an extended family. Look at that. The other herd has headed the other direction. Yeah, definitely they have split.
We are having a wonderful time here examining a marula tree that has been injured by elephants. It is going to survive, and what I wanted to do is just taste what the elephants were going for, and that's this bark. And thank you very much for joining us. I hope you've had a good time. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Bye-bye.
Welcome back. And over there I have a little guy who's suckling, looks very young. Allow me to drive. I'm gonna try and get close because this looks like a very, very new one. Yeah, I haven't seen one little one for quite a while, and it will be nice to share with you. This one looks like they've been hiding it in this corner of the reserve or the triangle. I don't know if you still see it. We're gonna try and get close. It's always nice to see these young ones because it means the elephants are making a comeback, which is such great news. Yeah, there he is. He's drinking. I'm gonna stop now. Yeah. That is how they drink. Look at that. Yeah. Mom usually puts her left leg or right leg front to allow easier access to the teat. That is a very young one. I would give him maybe 2 months. Yeah, something like 2 months. Look at how he folds the trunk back so that he can get an easy access to the teat. In case you didn't know, elephant teats are in between front legs. Strange but true. I think it is necessary because at the back, it could be very low for anybody, for any, young one to drink. This looks like, oh, look at that. Amazing. Yeah, it's too high, I think. It's trying to reach by, how would I put it, frame it? Yeah, by using its legs to support itself up towards the teat. I think it still can't get hold of the teat really well. I hope you saw that. Very interesting behavior. Yeah, this looks like a small herd with lots of little ones. There is 1, 2, 3, 4. There is 4 of them. So it looks like a young herd that has got lots of young ones that are. Rosalina, you asked me how many elephants are in the Mara. I think I would rather keep that a secret because we don't like giving out certain numbers of certain animals, but it's over 1,000, I would tell you. Yes, it's over 1,000, but it's a number that we don't want to give because we don't want to attract different attention. Yes, look at those tusks. It looks like they've been used really, really well. Look at the right one. Looks very well used. That could be as sharp as a razor at the edges. He uses it to dig, to debark trees, and also defending himself. That's another one drinking. Like I told you, this is a small breeding herd that has got lots of young ones, and they are doing very well. That female there, I don't think you'll forget her next time we see her. She's got one tusk, but it's a very long and good tusk. Interesting name. Do they wag their tail at a sign of happiness? I would say it's when they're relaxed, they wag it. Yes, not happiness, but relaxing. When they're happy, they trumpet. They trumpet and rumble and sometimes they stampede. That's what they do. Here, look at this mother with the little one. And the little guy is rather hot, and that's why he's staying on the shady side of its mother so that it can get the shade, and also you can tell that it's flapping its ears really fast to try and cool off. Yeah, I hope you can come back so we can share these beautiful creatures.
Welcome back, everyone, again. We still have the cheetah with 2 cubs. As you can see, she's start getting mobile now. And then you can see how quite thin she is. She looked like she might be interesting if anything comes around, like impala, and could be red duikers in this area, but it seems to be very quiet, as you can see for now. But you never know what is around behind the bush. As you can see, she's like keep on changing direction making sure she doesn't miss out. But so far, it's still quiet. As you can see, the cubs like playing, running, but not. Linda, when they're still small like that, when the mom, she's hunting, or like at the moment she's still hunting, if she's talking, they will stay behind, let for the mom to do all the hunting, and they will wait for the signal from the mom, and then they join after that. Only when they grow up, when she chase, they'll chase all together. When about 15 or 16 months old, Linda. Well, we want to try to follow her, because as you can see, she's already start getting quite mobile as she going that side. We don't want to lose her, and the cubs are quite excited to see their mom moving like that. They start running like that as well. It would be nice to find a catch up with them. We don't want to miss up whatever she come across for something to chase. Yeah, we just lost the video for now. We were trying to locate them, and Henry driving along.
What we found here is one of these small things on Swallow that just brings me so much joy. And in this, I mean, you can just see the kind of the muted tones over here. It's really, really earthy colors. You've got some creams, grays, browns, oranges. It's like very, very soft pastel shades, very, very, and of course the orangey red sand. Then you get these little gems that crop up every now and again. And this, the genus of this species is called Ruschia. Ruschia, it belongs to the Mesembryanthemaceae family. In South Africa, we commonly know them as fakies. It's a succulent, and it just shows that even in these harshest times, you get these beautiful little things flowering. But one of the remarkable things that I like about, in fact, most of the members of this family, is the seed capsules, and I'm actually trying to find one here, and I'm not seeing it. But anyway, what happens with these seed capsules is they retain, once the flowers sort of pass and the ovaries, they've got the seeds inside and they've matured, they actually form this hard capsule, but with a little gap in the middle. And that gap is so awesomely designed, or evolved, whichever way you want it. Let's not get into it. But anyway, what it does is, if a raindrop falls, okay, if it smacks that thing in the center, the force of that water actually ejects the seeds, and that's how this thing like starts spreading like it. It is so awesome. But anyway, I was just like, we're actually looking for some, you know, the lions are in this area, and we've actually got some fresh tracks very, very close by here. But while I was on their spoor, I just couldn't help but noticing this little gem. And I mean, how beautiful is that, eh? Doesn't matter how small it is, there is always something good to see out here. Anywhere you go, doesn't matter where it is. I mean, it can be Central Park, it could be Costa Rica, it could be, geez, pick a place, Iceland, Greenland, Antarctica.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family. Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a
Pride. And just having a look, you'll notice the one right closer towards us is that young male that had that injury on the back leg. Now, if you look at that particular leg, that was the one, if I'm not mistaken, that was in really bad condition, but you can already see that there's a lot of muscle that started to develop around it. So it is good news, and also he has a full belly. So he has been spending some time with the pride, and I wonder when the pride made a kill, if he managed to get in there as well to get a bit of meat. And just in the back, there's an old lioness lying down. Her belly doesn't look as full as the ones we saw earlier, but it might be that she could have been separated from the pride, and by the time she got to wherever they made the kill, the rest of the pride could already finish it. But it's interesting to see what the story is, and it will also be interesting to see if we can get, if they eventually stand up and start moving, if you'll be able to tell more of a story. But what I think could have happened here was during the evening they were probably making their way back towards the central part of the reserve, and as they were moving, probably spotted either a zebra or wildebeest, maybe even something like a young buffalo or even a giraffe. Made the kill, finished it up, and then eventually started moving, and that's where we found the pride, and then of course these two to the side. Now they could have been with the rest of the pride, or they could have been split away, especially that female in the back or this young male, and eventually go and join up with the pride. But very, very relaxed. And it's interesting as well with this male. I mean, he is over 4 years old now, but his mane still needs to go quite a bit before it is as impressive as his dad used to have a beautiful mane, and he was also a big lion like him. But I can only picture that probably in the next 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, where he will have a massive mane. Hopefully he'll turn around. You'll notice even behind that elbow of his, there's this little patch of dark Melissa, with the pride of lions, with the Birmingham pride in particular, there's only 2 white lions. So it's that young male that's just over 1.5 years, and that young female that's just over 1 year old. And then, with the youngsters that are there, there's none of them after that bore any young white cubs. So we'll have to see. I mean, with this pride in particular, they originate from a greater pride or bigger pride that used to have that gene within it as well. So you never know with some of the individuals what we're going to see in the next little while. Look at this male just turning around. It does look like, if you look just under his mane, close to his paws, you'll notice there's a little tinge of red. So I'm sure he was able to get a bit of that carcass. But maybe because the pride started moving, because I'm not sure, I haven't seen him for the last few weeks, so I'm not sure if he still has quite a bad limp whenever he moves, or if his leg is recovered quite a bit. I do know from the last time I saw him moving, he puts a pressure on that leg, but he doesn't put a lot of pressure. He puts more pressure on the leg that hasn't been damaged. And we'll just have to spend some time and see if we can eventually see him getting up and start moving.
No, Mia.
Well, good luck to that lion, but many things happen out here in the African bush with all our animals, and could be a little fracture, a little twist, sprain on an ankle, or a fracture entered in a hole. Well, luckily all the animals we got here currently in the Masai Mara, they are looking in good shape. And we got 2 species of animals here, the wildebeest, which you all know, but the other 3 small little guys, 4, so 5, I haven't been seeing them frequently a lot. And the reason being, we just came to the very end of our long rains, and when it rains here, we got very heavy rains, and the grass gets pretty high, and the Thompson gazelles that you see there do not like very tall grass. I mean, they are themselves not tall, and they would want to see their surroundings very well to make sure that no predators will come and sneak on them. And for that reason, that has a scratch there on the ear. It's a good scratch. So they tend to move away, but as the wildebeest have come, trampling on all the grass, churning the soil, lying on it, with the help of the termites, the grass has shortened, and so many open spaces. And I would say we'll start seeing an increase of the Thompson gazelles. Ian, good question, and you'd like to know that wildebeest, Ian, eats insects as they feed. I would say not big yes, but a soft yes. I mean, look at them trying to get a chunk of grass chances are there could be a small insect there, and not much would happen. As much as Ian wildebeest are herbivores, strictly vegetarians, anything green, and more so grass than anything else. I would say not on purpose, but they would eat, I would say, once in a while by accident. But ideally, they are grass eaters. And Ian, same case to the Thompson gazelles that you're seeing there, or grass. The Thompson gazelles got very short, fine grass, little green, and the wildebeest you see there, they would mind something tough, something dry. They have better, solid digestive system than the very fine digestive system of the Thompson gazelles. Anytime I see Thompson's gazelles, it reminds me of the springboks in South Africa, as much as they're not related, but smaller, same size. And these are the favorite food of the cheetahs. They're small, and I think they're tender. Can you want to know whether wildebeest have a matriarch like elephants? I would say no. Let me say no. I mean, you look at the setup of elephant herds, and it's very well defined that this is the matriarch and she's in charge. Every decision made, every move made, she is in charge. But you'll notice the wildebeest, you might say, they might have something like a democracy similar to the buffaloes, but a straight answer, I would say they do not have leaders, female leaders like the elephants have the matriarchs. Chances are you'll see bulls pulling the shots, and when it's time to move, you might say 800 of them, 200 go this way, 300 go this way, another 100 go that way, all directions, which would indicate there's no particular leader. Well, excited to see the Thompson gazelles, and my plan, as I said earlier, was to get to the river. I can see the river where it is from where I am, but I haven't seen any big congregation of the wildebeest. That's why I haven't gone there. But now, I think I'll try and get close.
Welcome back, and this is another herd. This corner of the triangle is full of elephants today, which is rather nice for a change. But in the background you can see we have plenty and plenty of wildebeest. This looks like the matriarch. She looks like she's much older, but she's got much more experience and very relaxed around me. So I would say she is the matriarch. Remember, this is the Africa's largest animal, or land largest mammal, weighing up to around 4 to 6 tons, and they're very widespread all over Africa. The main domain is basically at the moment stands as in the biggest population stands in Botswana, Kenya, Tanzania, and they're making a very good comeback. We have lots of young ones, especially where I am at the moment, and also you can tell this area is full of water, so it's perfect for young ones, perfect to raise calves. Over here we have birds. These are all waders. We have great egret, the one with the yellow beak and black legs. The one with the black feathers and white is a sacred ibis. Way back there I have the African grey heron. The sacred ibis is native to East Africa and the Middle East. It's thought to be related to the god Thoth of the Egyptian gods, hence its name sacred. More great egrets here. This means there has been lots of frogs, tadpoles, mollusks, and other water creatures. At the back to the right there is a black-headed heron. So all of them, you can tell they have either long necks, long legs for wading and also for fishing, very sharp beaks for digging into water. Here comes our matriarch. She doesn't want to be left out, so she's come into the picture. Look how she uses that trunk. Yeah, folds the grass like folding spaghetti on a table, then pulls it. Look at that. Sometimes, if it's very hard to pull, she will use her toes to kick and help pull it. But over here looks like it's being pulled with ease. That trunk has about 20 to 60,000 muscles, so it's able to pull up or to pick up even a peanut from the ground. Yeah, those, they look like cousins. Looks like the one behind. HB, thank you for your comment. You say you love how they use the trunks to pick the grass. Of course, it is beautiful to see how they use it. That trunk, you know, I have seen one that has died. It is very hard to chew, to cut, or even for a dog to chew, or for any animal to chew, because it is tendons, it is muscles, it is very tough. So those muscles, I think, help it to pick up the grass easily. Also, it uses it for swimming, going through deep water as a snorkel, uses it as a hand to throw dust on its back, uses it as a, you know, as a mouth, you know, to pull up water and put it into the mouth. So it has got very many uses in the trunk. Also, I've seen it being used as a weapon, being thrown to another. So it's got many uses. Did you see how it used the foot? Yeah, let's wait. See, he might use it again. Always interesting to see these little behaviors. Sometimes we intend. See, look at that. Yeah, yeah, very smart. Oh, yeah. Actually, it's you doing it backward, like a back kick. Let's see if he's gonna do it again. No. Yeah. Yeah, at the back, look at all those wildebeest. Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, here comes the other one. It looks like the grass around that area is really... Look at that, how he's pulling. Beautiful. Yeah. That's how they learn to use, you know, their legs or their toes to help pluck off the twigs and shoots and grass that are not easy, or sometimes they might be slippery for the trunk to pull, so they use the toes to hit and uproot it from the ground. Yeah, that's another matriarch and her youngsters. I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna let you enjoy something else, and I'll catch you up the road.
Welcome back, everyone. Again, we are still here with a beautiful female cheetah with the two cubs, and as you can see, she's just sitting up on the dam wall, scanning around, see if there's anything around. Looks like it's so quiet up here, but she looks very skinny. They need to catch something, but from miles away, I'm sure I think some monkeys have spotted her, but because monkeys also have very good eyesight. You also drop that side. Well, we'll just sit here and wait and see what happened, because it looks like she might be carry on hunting again. waiting to see anything comes around or any dangerous, because cheetahs, as you know, they're bottom of the food chain, so they're
That sounds amazing. I hope that I'll be able to find something as exciting. It's been really quiet out here on Djuma this whole day, but it has given me some time to just get used to it. Well, not get used to it, but appreciate just how beautiful it is. When we come back from leave, it's always nice to reacquaint ourselves with the beauty of the bush. The magic quarries have been flowering, or at least almost. They're starting to bud just a little bit. You can see at the ends there. Can you see those tiny little buds? Waiting to burst open once we're into the thick of spring. Knobdons have been flowering, as you've been seeing and have been mentioning. And the jackalberries have got this lovely yellow tinge to them as well. And these are things that I love to see out in the bush. Let's see if we can find that green woodhooper that is calling. Or are you a bunch of babblers? Green woodhoopers and babblers, arrow-marked babblers, can sound very similar. Especially if there's only a single babbler calling, because often when you hear them calling, they're calling all together. Ah, they are babblers indeed. There we hear them again. There's one just on the top there. And there it flies. All right. Oh, Theo's going for it. Last look at the babblers as they fly through. Well, we're going to keep on trucking. See if we find anything else interesting.
Well, we have taken on, I suppose Dylan didn't do this challenge, but he always does it. He does his waterhole stakeout. So Sebastian and I thought we would do one at Ndlovu Dam, seeing as though we were off to a good start at the beginning of drive. Now, it slowed down significantly, but our patience pants on today. And, well, we've got another buffalo bull come down. They're on the other side, though. They're not... who is that? Is that just the boys? It is. It is a small bachelor herd of impala that have come down to have a drink. Not wasting much time, though. Literally just enough to wet their lips, and then off they go again. Why do you all not look very impressed with one another? My younger ones look a little bit on the jittery side, but there were leopards here. Oh, the heron has even come in. It's about to maybe do a landing. The grey heron that lives here at Ndlovu Dam. We'll see. Maybe it'll get up to a little bit of fishing.
Waddling away into the winter grasses. And we've come to Chitra, south of Djuma, to see what's on offer this side of the world. So far, quite a few grass species, quite a few leafless combretum trees, one or two spurfowls, which are clearly very shy, and an impala or three, which absconded. We'll go back past the waterhole, the big dam at Chitra, see what else there is there. It's a relatively pleasant afternoon, I'd say. It's a little bit sort of on the chilly side, a bit dark. There's a little black bird, which I think is probably a drongo. Is it? It is. And it has gone away. Ian, in this part of the world, the rarest bird to find would be, I suppose, any one of a number of vagrants that could come through at various times of the year. I'm not sure what the most unusual sighting for Djuma would be. That painted snipe that we found this morning is probably one of the most unusual birds ever found over here. Yeah, I don't know what the rarest bird in the world is. It's probably something like a shoebill or there's probably a few birds of which there are only one or two individuals left. Don't know. Good question, I'm afraid. I don't know the answer to it. But the rarest bird I've seen here is that painted snipe, which we saw this morning, in case you haven't seen it. But remember that a rare bird here might not necessarily be a rare bird somewhere else. You know, it just could be vagrant here, but very common somewhere else.
Look at the sky. Hello, critter. You are cute. Their eyes never look like they're in focus or like they're focusing on you. They always look a little bit cockeyed. I think it's quite cute. It's not the biggest one. It's quite a small dwarf mongoose. I don't see anybody else. I wonder if it got separated. Where are your friends? Do you see another friend? Oh, hello. Now if we stay really quiet, they'll become comfortable and come out and look at us, so I'm gonna be very quiet. It's about patience with these guys. They're always nervous when you arrive, and then they slowly become comfortable. They're so alert that if they decide they can hear you too much, they will just hide. Now we're actually quite close to this mound because we only saw it. There we can see just how close I am. But we only really saw it once we saw the little head poking out when we were passing by. So it'll take them a little bit longer to get used to us. I should probably keep quiet again. sassy Cassie. You'd like to know if a mongoose can be domesticated? Domesticated? Probably not. Habituated? Yes, I'm not sure anyone's trying to domesticate dwarf mongoose, but habituated, yes, they can. It happens without us even trying, especially around camps and things like that, like around our camp. Even around homes in South Africa, where I'm from in KwaZulu-Natal, we get banded mongoose. And they'll sometimes come into your home. I think we may be out of luck, but I have good patience bands on. So I might just sit here for a couple more minutes and see if we get lucky.
That really is absolutely unbelievable. We had them here, it must have been a good 3 or 4 minutes. They were absolutely fine, doing nothing. As she said, I'm going to ask for a link. They looked up like this. They couldn't hear anything. As TRISHALA was coming across, getting rid of what she was saying, off they went. Useless pigs. Useless. There. Yes, just sit there and stand. They were so peacefully grazing here. No problem at all. We had them framed up, we didn't move at all. Gosh, when they got wind of the fact that they were going to be live on the interweb, they were very upset and they took off.
Welcome back to the Mara. I'm still at the marsh and I've just gone around and I'm trying to give you a different angle, different perspective, so you can see how many of these animals are here. From where I am, all the way back there is just hundreds and thousands of wildebeest. Look at that. There are just too many to count. If I started now, I think it will end up tomorrow. Remember, this is the white-bearded gnu, otherwise called Corochetes taurinus in Latin. That guy has got a short tail. Look at him. I don't wonder what happened. Maybe a hyena got him when he was young, or during a crossing, a crocodile got hold of him, and he said, "You can have my tail, but I'm leaving." The urge or the will to leave was much stronger. Look at that. That's a beautiful sight. This only happens in East Africa this time of the year. They're all in Kenya from July, August, September. Sometimes they stay all the way to October, and then they head back to the Serengeti in Tanzania, which neighbors Kenya, and they go all the way south, making a long loop, ending up here again next year, June. The reason they migrate, the reason they travel, is that there is enough food where they have to go, and so they have to come. Remember, the numbers increase every year by about 250,000. So the pressure for fresh grass and more food is there, and so they have to come all the way here. Here you can tell there are lots of yearlings, some with their moms and some without their moms. When they arrive here, sometimes it's time for the young ones to leave their mothers because crossing the river. They might not find their mothers. Their mothers might get eaten. The young ones might get eaten. So they get weaned when they arrive here at around 5-6 months, and they have to fend for themselves. There are very many who are lucky and they have their moms, unlike that guy who just walked to the left. Yeah, it looks like they're coming my way. Usually at this time of evening, they would leave the marsh because they know the predators will be leaving the forest and coming out of the marsh to hunt and go towards the hills, and then in the morning they come down. Sophie, thank you for your comment. You say, wow, indeed, it is a lot of wildebeest. Hard to explain. I don't know if there's a word to, describe how many they are. I don't know. Right now they are not very vocal, but maybe let me go quiet for about 5 seconds and hope we can hear them calling. If not, you will just enjoy the view.
Well, Isaac, very well done, and I'm sure you have seen thousands and thousands of wildebeest. Well, I do not have the big numbers of the wildebeest like Isaac had, but I got a few numbers of antelopes which I think will be very special to you to see. I do not know whether I ask this question or not, but I would want to ask, which antelopes these ones are. I mean, there are some of, I would say, they're my favorite antelopes. Which antelopes do you think these ones are? And you can send your answers on Twitter at #WildEarth. Sorry, there's a car there. Just listen, you go. Well, yeah, I'll be happy if you get an answer. So we're going to show you, there's a cave that just came on our way. I mean, these antelopes here, and they're very similar ones that we have in South Africa, but the ones in South Africa are called sesame. So I want you to tell me which antelopes these. I don't remember the last time you saw them. They do not have them in South Africa. We only have them in East Africa. So kindly tell me who these antelopes are, and as I said, you can always tweet or send your answers #WildEarth. Kids, if you're there and you're watching, you can send an email giving us an answer or who you think these ones are using kids questions at worldearth.tv. Remember, you can also use @FC in the comment section of the YouTube chat channels. Mary J, you said Toppy, very well done, very well done. Yes, these are Toppies, and sometimes we call them the cousins of the sesame. Very good. I mean, I've always admired the Toppies because of their different coats. Look at them. And not many antelopes you'll see the grayish, the bluish, the brown, the black. And if you're lucky at one point to see the ears of these antelopes, they remind me exactly of, let me see whom I'm looking for, the steinboks. Yes, the steinboks in South Africa. And the ear of Toppy looks like a leaf, very well designed, very well drawn, very well painted by an artist. Funny, they had gone in one direction, and all of a sudden, all of them have turned towards where they're coming from. And we are right on the bank of the Muller River. Not much is happening, but again, we're all crossing fingers we'll get wildebeest coming. None that I can see from where I am. I can see a very small group, nothing compared to what Isaac was showing you. A group of about 6-7 of them. Yeah, those ones right there. If you look on the other side of the river, away from the Toppies, you can see that's the small load of wildebeest that are here. And if anything is going to cross, would be these Toppies. I mean, they cross the river once in a while, but not in the same style, just like the wildebeests. and the grayish or the navy colors that you see on them, it becomes quite conspicuous as they get older. When young, they got all one tony color, just like the colors of most antelopes. Look on the inner side of the legs, and look at that majestic walk. And if Mary J and all other good viewers you allow me, I would call this a mini migration of the Toppies. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Maxwell, you want to know what they use their horns for. Ideally, the males will use the horns for defense, number one. And of course, number two, once in a while they go for each other, and males will fight more than females. So, horns, defense, and fights. Females, once in a while, they'll go for each other, but generally, Maxwell, it's the males that will go for each other. And if you look at them carefully when you get a chance, and you see a male and a female together, the males have slightly larger or longer horns, more heavy, more built than the females. But basically, they're meant for fights. Once in a while, males will do that. They pose, they all know the dangers of going in the water. So many crocs, and of course it's quite steep, and I don't remember the last time I saw such a big number of Toppies together, maybe planning either to have a drink together or to cross. The other side of the river, the bank, as you can see those rocks there, it looks quite steep, and I highly doubt they may want to cross. I mean, I highly doubt they'll make it. It's easier to come the other way towards where we are, but not the reverse. What wildebeest will do, they'll always congregate near the riverbank, and they build so much pressure, and the ones in the background will keep pushing and pushing, and the other ones, once they cannot take much pressure, they just bulge, they just boop, and they dip in the water. So we're going to spend a few more minutes here, hoping that these Toppies may do what the wildebeest have failed to do. Then if not, I'll be moving on.
Welcome again once more. I have moved another maybe 800 meters, and in this corner there is a few wildebeest, but they're all around me. You can see as James scans, you can tell we're not looking at the same one twice. It's just wildebeest galore. We are so lucky to be sharing this with you, because it happens only for a very short time of the year, and they come to celebrate and eat all this grass here and then head back to the Serengeti. Remember, this is coming live from the beautiful Masai Mara in Kenya, and we are on the Mara Triangle. It's quite congested there, all the heads facing my way. Right now, everybody is trying to find a spot where they're going to spend the night. Sometimes they find a safe spot, sometimes they don't, because where they head, sometimes there is predators. This time of the year, the marsh pride, which resides here, or the swamp pride, it is very hard to see them, because they can come at night, pick up what they want, eat, and right now their bellies up. They're so full they cannot even raise their heads, and in this long grass it doesn't help anyhow, because if you're only like 10 feet away and they don't feel like you're gonna run over them, you will just drive past them. So it is very hard to come across lions here. Only very early in the morning, or maybe when they have missed a meal and they're still hunting in the morning or evening. But we have lions around this area. Yeah, those guys, you'll see the boss, the middle of the horns. Those are males. These usually much thicker than the females. Yeah, they usually have manes, like very long ones. So you see the hairs. Those ones are not stripes, they are hairs. Slightly longer than the normal skin. and so they kind of look like like stripes, but they're not stripes. See how they're enjoying the grass. This guy is huge. Look at him. Good specimen. Yeah, here the cows. Apart from other wildlife, this time of the year, this is the attraction here in the Masai Mara, the Great Migration. Usually we have lots of holiday makers coming this time of the year, but it's rather quiet this year. Look at this. Hear the sounds? Yeah, enjoy the sounds, guys.
Welcome back, everyone. Again, we're still here with the cheetah. She looks like she's on a mission for now. As you can see, she's moving through to the bushes, and she's trying to find something, but since then she haven't spotted anything yet. And far from a distance, we have got a lot of zebras and wildebeest together. I think she might turn, trying to move away from that, because she knows that that's quite a big size to her to try that. She knows that she might get hurt. She always try to avoid if she do come across in a situation like that. So we're trying to move slightly. Yeah, when we're trying to follow. We just lost her vision for now, as you can see. See if we can follow her.
Well, very nice to have seen the cheetahs, and as you saw the cheetahs, I decided to make a quick turn here because our toppies have also decided to do something different, and they are now going away from the water, indicating that they're not going to do what the wildebeest have failed to do. And it's quite unusual. I haven't seen toppies crossing the river in such big numbers. Not sure whether Bungay, you're happy for me to stop there or not. Let me know when I have a good angle. And are you happy there, Bungay? Bungay is the gentleman behind the camera, and those are what toppies, as I told you. Sometimes I call them the sesames of East Africa, and they're going away from the river, an indication that if the wildebeest couldn't do it, we are not doing it. And I think that makes a lot of sense, because nobody wants to take a chance. They know the dangers in that water. The jump itself, to plunge in that water, sometimes 6-8 meters. That's a big fall, could be quite dangerous. You might land there on your forefeet and you fracture them all, or you will land and get crocodile just waiting for you. And also once in a while we have seen lions laying ambush somewhere like that, and so the best thing is just to hang on and stay on the other side. That's what toppies like to eat most. I mean, basically, toppies are herbivores, and top on the list for them is grass. And I would say they are grazers. I'm not sure I've seen them browsing once in a while, but they are basically grazers, and top on the menu is grass. So unlike certain animals, or rather unlike the wildebeest, which will keep moving with food, or depending on the rainy season or for breeding, toppies will tend to remain in one same area. There's ample food for them, and they can always easily adjust to get or to eat the food that will be available. Just see this kind of, the amount of sunlight coming through like the beard, or right below the chin, through the golden grass, and see how beautiful that is. And also at the tip of the tail, you can see how she looks below the chin, like through the beard, and at the tip of the tails. So a decision has been made here. We are not crossing, and we do not want maybe to be eaten by the crocs today. So they'll move a little bit, stop, have a bite, move, stop, have a bite. If Bunge, you allow me, I want to drive a few meters ahead of me. You remember I was talking about the colors of these toppies, and if you allow me another 30 seconds, I want to show you a calf or a youngster of a toppy, and you'll see what I was talking about, that the babies of the calves do not have the colors like the adults. Are you happy there, Bunge? You see that baby there? See if Bunge will be able to put the camera there for a few seconds, but what you'll notice is the baby has one plain color and got nothing similar to the mother. See that? A very young lamb there. Doesn't have any navy or any brown or any black color in it. But as they grow older, they develop their colors. I'm happy, and I'm sure you all have been happy to have seen that, and I'll be moving on.
I am scanning the surrounds for any evidence of animal life, and thus far failing to see any, but for a spotted flycatcher sitting on a tree just off to my left, your right-hand side. But I am standing on a rather interesting tree. Now, this is an interesting tree in so much as it is the tree with the densest wood in the area. That is Combretum apiculatum. It's a massively common tree. There's nothing unusual about it. But what is amazing is that the elephant, or some elephant, a particularly strong one, has come and snapped off this immensely thick trunk. I don't know, I mean, with seeming impunity. I don't think it took a huge amount of effort. And it just demonstrates the unbelievable strength of the elephants, because I'm standing on this thing, I'm not making it move at all, and an elephant came along here, grabbed it with its trunk, and then just pulled it off. Now this is probably about, I'm going to say, 10 years of growth or so an enormous amount of growth that has now been pulled off, but you can see that the tree has been subjected to this quite frequently. And down at the base there's a trunk even thicker than the main trunk now, and I suspect that this tree is at least 50 or 60 years old, and that it's been pulled over, broken, stamped upon, dug around, and eaten constantly over that period. But it continues to live and, well, just about thrive, I suppose. It is thriving. It's been living for a long time, despite the attentions of the elephants. So, this is all I have to say about that. And now I shall head off into the bush.
Welcome back again. Another 300 meters from where I was, and it is the same story. Wildebeest, wildebeest, wildebeest. A very beautiful scene here, or area. Look at the beautiful trees back there. Yeah, those are giant forest mahogany, or jartuyan, we call them in Maasai. Yeah, basically it's hardwood. The sticks are used for making whips, for heading cattle and goats. Many African tribes use them. Look at the zebra. They are amongst the wildebeest. Very smart. They know they are surrounded by security, and that's why they are munching away. Otherwise, if they were all alone, 4 of them, it could be impossible to be eating comfortably like that, because this is a very bushy area. Everywhere you look, all those dots, they are not trees, they are not rocks. It is just wildebeest, wildebeest, wildebeest. I hope you are enjoying this view. It's one of a kind. Sometimes it's not as appealing when the wildebeest and the zebra are here, but look at it now. Yeah, very beautiful. How could you caption that? Awesome. I don't know. Yeah, looks very beautiful. Then your name I didn't get, sorry, but you asked about who migrates. Toss. You ask if these two species are the only one that migrate. Of course not. In total, there is about over 2 million animals. The high population goes to the wildebeest, followed by the zebra, then the Thompson's gazelle, then the topi. There is also eland, nomadic lions, cheetahs and leopards, hyenas, vultures. So it is a mass movement. The most prevalent one being the wildebeest. And because we can get to it quite easily, we see it, it's more obvious. I hope I have answered your question. Yeah, that's how it goes. They are leaving this area, where I am, the immediate area where I am, because it's very bushy. As you can tell, you know, that guy is rubbing, he's got an itch in between his horns. Usually they develop an itch when they see a necessary branch that, you know, can serve that purpose, and usually they rub and rub and rub, sometimes killing the little shrub because they would peel the skin. Look at that. Now it has become a practicing tool. Yeah. High and beyond, you say the land can sustain this mass? Yes, it can. But it is facing threats due to human population, and also, you know, demarcation of land surrounding these game reserves is a big threat. If the numbers were to explode, then definitely it won't be able to handle the numbers that explode. At the moment, it's perfect, but if it increases, it might not be able. Yeah, beautiful sight. I hope you're enjoying this. It is coming live. I am here in the Masai Mara, and I'm so happy to be sharing these with you. I hope you're having fun. I'm gonna move on a little bit so I can see another area of the reserve, but it will be very hard to leave the wildebeest because they're all over. I don't know what's happening at the river. This morning they were very gathered, very many of them. I left them there. I will be going to see what happened tomorrow. This is the sight that is everywhere at the moment. It's just wildebeest, wildebeest, wildebeest. The weather has cooled down. It's really appealing now, and the predators should be coming out sooner or later to pick up, you know, what they're going to go for as a meal tonight. At the edge of the swamp, I'm going to be coming out. It's not wet right now, so I can drive through it. It's a place that you don't want to be driving during the rainy season because nobody will come to help you. It can be very muddy. See how they're running away from me. I'm going to leave you to enjoy as I drive, and I'll see you down the road.
Well, Isaac can keep driving for the next half an hour and you'll still continue enjoying the wildebeest. Now, I have one wildebeest here that is not enjoying its life as much as it is dead. Look carefully and tell me what you see the first few seconds as we watch this. Now, Now, if you look carefully, there's a huge crocodile there, and there's a wildebeest it's feeding on, and this might have been a crossing of last night or the night before. I do not know when, but this huge male crocodile here is feasting on this wildebeest. Now, let's just watch. And you notice it has pushed the wildebeest towards the edge of the river where there's less current, so that it doesn't get, or doesn't, it is not pushed by the water every now and then. But if you look carefully, that is the crocodile, that's the head there. And what crocs do, they do not chew like most animals do. They tend to cut big chunks of flesh and they swallow them in big bits. Now look at the current behind the croc and the current on the edge or at the riverbank. There's a huge difference, and there's a second croc coming to join the party there. So let's see what happens, whether one pushes the other one out or they are going to share the meal. Actually, three, if you look carefully, that's just two, and to the right of your screen there's another croc just about to come and join. Okay, let's see what happens. Maybe there could be a bit of dominance here, so one may give way to the other. Like, interesting, yeah, one has given way, and the new one that just came in is getting close to the dead wildebeest. There's always a pecking order in any part you are in the African wilderness. Okay, get out of here. Now that is it. You see what I was saying now? There are 5 of them. And that one will open its mouth maybe to intimidate the other 4. And let's see who comes out top. And whoever will look big and strong will be feasting or devouring this wildebeest. Sometimes they just grab it, turn it. You can see the teeth, look at that. So one has some flesh in the mouth, but the other one's like, come on, you have enough, get out of the way. How beautiful is that? Remember, should you have any questions or comments, please send them through. #WorldEarth on Twitter, or at FC in the comment section of the YouTube chat channels. Kids, if you're excited, please also let us know. It could be a bit scary for some of the kids or some people who are a bit squeamish, but should you want to ask a question or send a comment, please do using kidsquestions@worldearth.tv as an email. Oops, there's a fish that jumped. I don't know what that was. Bungay, what was that? Not sure that it was a chunk of meat or it was a catfish that jumped there. If anybody got a screenshot, might be able to explain to me what that was. I just turned it a bit and I saw something spinning there and right back in the water. So when you say the lions or the predators, yeah, like most lions are having party time, the crocs is always the same for them, because this wildebeest will die when they're trying to cross the river. Now, crocodiles got very special eyelids that under the water they'll be able to open their eyes, and when these wildebeest come to cross, chances are they may not see these crocs. And what will happen is they just watch them, they come close, and as the the crocodiles get close and they go for them. Then they do what we call a death roll, grab them, twist them, turn them in the water. And believe me, that is not me. Those are hippos in the background. And I think that's a very good way to see the end of this party of the crocodiles and the wildebeest, and that will also make me move on, and maybe we'll come to another nice sighting later.
Welcome back to Eco Training's Pridelands, where I know this is maybe not as exciting as the crocodile, but it's the first hippopotamus I've seen since I've been at Pridelands, which is quite cool. And we've been talking about how, I think it was yesterday actually, it's it has to be soon that a hippo is going to arrive at one of the dams. So we've changed our position. We're now at Leopard Dam, and I think that this hippo has walked here during the middle of the day. It's been very overcast all day long and quite cool, which is perfect conditions for a hippo to move around in. And I would think that it's probably a bull too, because you know the females are quite social and live in a pod together with their youngsters. This one seems to be all by itself. But this is awesome. Whether or not it'll still be here tomorrow, I'm not sure. But I'm very, very happy that I got to see my first hippo. Now I just wish that one would move in to Ndlovu Dam, just because it's shrinking so quickly. I think it could be quite exciting when all the different animals come down, especially those elephants. We know that hippos are also short-tempered and don't like it when other animals come into their space, which is of course the water. Jennifer, I'll be super happy if this hippo does do a big grunt for us. I also like their calls, but I don't know. When we first arrived, this hippo disappeared underwater and then really tested the 6-minute theory of how long a hippo can hold its breath for. Sebastian was not convinced when I said there was a hippo. He said, "Nah, are you sure it wasn't a terrapin?" But here we are. And eventually, after quite a few minutes, whether it was 6 or not, I didn't time it, but the hippo popped its head up again. So that's quite nice to see. Not splashing about. It's a very graceful hippo, this one. I wonder where it's come from. Actually, it could have come from anywhere. It could have come from Jajani, maybe one of the big dams there, or perhaps further to the east in the Motlobetsi River, where there's still some pools of water. But I haven't been down that side for a very long time, so I don't actually know how much water is there. What are you looking at? Doesn't seem too bothered by us now. I think it's relaxed a little bit. Now all we need is a leopard or a lion or a hyena or something to come and drink. That would be great, and we would have had a very successful day at the 2 prominent watering holes on Pridelands. It actually doesn't look like a very big hippo. I'm just looking at the size of its head and ears and eyes. Perhaps it's a sub-adult, maybe like a young bull that has been pushed out. So that's something that you will see at this time of the year, is because there is a lot of pressure on the water sources and they're drying up at an alarming rate. If there are any young bulls, you know, that were maybe sharing a watering hole with another bull and, you know, being submissive and listening to the dominant bull's instructions. But if there's too much pressure and there's not enough water, they're going to be the first ones to be booted on out. So I wonder if that hasn't happened. Maybe this individual is on the younger side of things. But who knows? We can only surmise. But the sun is starting to set. Well, it probably has set already. So the next move might be that the hippo gets out of the water and we'll have a better opportunity to guess its age.
Talking about the sun setting, so hopefully with the sun going down, there's a good chance that these lions might, I don't know if there's a good chance, but there's a chance that these lions could possibly get up. One of the cubs have just gotten up and started moving right in front of the mum there. Early on we went and searched quite hard for leopard, to see if there's any signs of leopard around. And eventually, unfortunately, there was no luck, so we decided to come back to the lions. And of course, they're still here and they haven't really moved too far. Just look at the size of this young male's belly. So he's been having quite a nice drink. You can see how he's licking his lips. He was suckling since we got here probably 5-10 minutes ago, and since we got back he was just having a nice drink. Him and his sister, and before we even left them to go and search for the leopard, they were already drinking again. So you can notice her belly in the back, how she's just panting, full belly and very relaxed. I think very happy, at least with a full belly. But just notice how these lions are spread across in this line. It's so funny to watch, because you have these 2 females, and then there's a young male, and then there's the white male lying with his legs wide open, and you have a bigger female that's right in the front, the young white female off to the left. Yes, I reckon it's just because it's a little bit more comfortable. By lying down like that and the leg is splayed open, it's more comfortable than just lying on the side. And especially where that one is lying down, you can actually see the road, or that little section there dips down off to the right. It's just a bit easier and more comfortable. Shame, look at that young cub, so tired. It might be, yeah, it's the young female. She's just gone and lied down right next to the other one. But look at the size of her paw, in comparison to her face. And to think that she still needs to grow into that paw. Try and listen to all the noise in the back. There's barely any noise. It's like dead quiet around us. You can basically, you can faintly hear these lions breathing. But other than that, there's almost no birds calling, no animals making any alarm calls, or even any normal contact calls, anything. It's just really, really quiet. Notice that one female in the very back has picked up her head. Now, if she decides to start moving, it will be in an instant, and the whole pride will eventually get up and start following her. And you'll notice, as soon as she gets up, all these younger ones will immediately pick up their head to have a look, just so that they don't fall behind again. Or fall behind. Remember that young female a few weeks ago, how she got separated from the pride, and I think it was for close to a week before she eventually joined up with the rest of the pride. So she'll make sure as soon as one gets up that she'll also get up and start following them, so that she doesn't fall behind. Veronica, I agree with you. I also love it, the way that they just stretch out their paws, but also just the way that they lie down. I mean, they do make any hard area, surface, look very, very comfortable. Especially, there was just an elephant now that was making a bit of a noise. Now, I wonder if this elephant probably smelled these lions. Let's have a look. As if this elephant smelled these lions, there's a good chance that elephant, especially if there's youngsters around, might chase these lions. Hopefully it was only maybe some elephants in the distance making a noise and not too fussed about these lions. And so eventually they'll carry on. But you can see the lions are very wary of what's going on, because if that elephant does come closer, especially with those young cubs around, the mom would immediately get up and all the other ones and start moving away. Just notice how the mom just picked up her head, just to scan around and see that everything's still right. But eventually she'll probably just go and lie down again. What really stands out on her is, if you notice how white her chin is, but also underneath her eyes, that little patch of white, and quite a lot of hair on the inside of her ears, with that little splash of black behind the ears. You can see she's staring very intently, and that's in the direction where those elephants, or the noise came from earlier. I can't see an elephant, it's really dense behind us. But I'm sure these lions are probably listening to something that we can't pick up. But incredible just to be able to sit like this and watch a whole pride of lions like this.
And now we're watching this girl slowly get up. We just popped into the den to have a look if anything's happening there, and it was quiet. So we decided to drive straight out, and now we are by the pump house in Philemon's Cutline Junction Weaver's Nest. You know that spot. And here's Ribbon, taking a break from the hustle and bustle of all the little ones around the den. Oh, maybe you're going to go back to the den and get your little ones out? Oh, yes, that's a good stretch. Oh, she's moving in the right direction. She definitely got that itch. Oh, I was just about to say she looks like she needs to stretch again because her back legs are looking stiff. That's a little better. Okay, now you're going in the wrong direction. Well, wrong direction from the den. Ah, turning a little southwards. We have to wait a little bit. I hope that she will go to the den. Then we get to see the cubs. She might prefer that way. Which is actually a closer way to get to the den, but there's no path.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
What we've done is come across here to Chitwa Waterhole because we heard that a wild dog was seen running near the entrance to Chitwa. Now we know that the rest of the pack was on Torchwood, the reserve north of Chitwa this morning, and we're hoping that they're all going to come herring down into this clearing as we speak and give us a display second to none. In the meantime, however, we're being amused by, well, one of the world's funniest birds, I think, the guinea fowl. You see, I told you they were funny. The hippos think they're startlingly hilarious. I think they're funny because they just look funny. They walk funny, they fly funny, they call funny. Happy fat little ticks. That is the helmeted guinea fowl. It is not nearly as funny as the crested guinea fowl. That is a seriously funny one. It's got a wig that looks like it belongs in an episode of The Simpsons. Thus far, I do not see any great hordes of wild dogs steaming across the plains. So we'll give this about 10 minutes, I think, and then we'll push on and see if we can't pick them up on the border.
There's a little black-backed jackal that's coming closer to investigate these lions. You can see how carefully it's moving around, trying to keep a bit of distance and cover between itself and this pride. And what it might be doing is, because of the lions being around in the area, there might be, he might just be after the scraps, if there is any carcass. Now the thing is, we've tried to maneuver around to see if there's any carcass, and we haven't seen anything. And the chances are just likely that the jackal will be hanging around just to see if there is anything. But it looks like one of the young cubs have just gotten up with the pride. And as the young male, he decided that he's going to go and take down his little sister. He's probably trying to see if there's someone a little bit bigger to take down. How incredible. And often it's just amazing just to sit and watch and let them talk. Katie, they are so precious, I agree. Look at so the young male has just gone to mom, and now the little sister just heard all the commotion, and she's now out, and she's taking down another female here. You can see the way she's trying to bite, like in between the legs, she's actually biting the one leg. She feels she can't win now, she's going to go to the next one. Anushka, the chances are that eventually the pride could break away. At the moment, there's quite a few individuals within this pride, but I'm sure it was, like, just based on the previous number. So when the pride broke away initially, there were over 30 lions within the pride. I think it was 32, 34, somewhere along there. And because of all the competition, especially around the carcasses, eventually they started breaking apart. But who knows? I mean, with these ones here, as soon as the younger ones get to a certain age, there's quite a few males within this pride, so they'll probably be pushed off. And because of that, the females will stick together for a little bit longer. So for the time being, I don't think they're going to be breaking away anytime soon. But there's always a chance, depending on the availability of food.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, if the numbers of a particular species grow, the best thing is always to go different ways to increase the chances of getting more food. Well, I just decided to stop here because I do not think I've shown you nice people any sunset for the last couple of days. And I think seeing a sunset together with the wildebeest on the western horizon of the Mara Triangle is something very special. Sorry, we have that car, and I'm surprised they don't stop to enjoy the sunset like us. But what a sighting, and very similar to the big numbers of wildebeest that Isaac was showing you earlier. I am at a different spot. The Masai Mara is a huge game reserve, but just look at how many number of wildebeest we have there with only one sunset. That's really beautiful to see or to watch. So it has drastically cooled off, and you notice now the animals are more active in eating. Veronica, a beautiful sight. Many thanks. Yes, I agree with you 100%, Veronica. It's a beautiful sight, and I'm sure Veronica Bungay on the camera will take you back to the sunset and try look at that. What do you call the escarpment rather there? That is what we call the Uluru escarpment, the sunset, and the one tree here and there, the balanite and the wildebeest. You could not ask for anything better in the African wilderness. I would say that is marvelous, like my friend James Henry likes saying. It's just something magnificent. When you look at all those beautiful colors, there's the sunset on the western horizon, but the escarpment still remains a little bit bluish in color, as we have the sun, of course, behind it. And you notice the wildebeest are not as vocal as they were before, because now they're busy concentrating in eating. They become more vocal when they're moving. It's time to have early dinner, because they're going to slow down and stop and just make sure they're safe through the night. The beautiful savanna of the Masai Mara. Jenny, you would like to know whether it rains during the migration. I would say the last 5 years, Jane, it has been very unpredictable here in terms of the weather pattern. The weather pattern has been quite erratic. And yes, I would say during migration, more often than not, it rains, but not as heavy rains like we get during the, I would say, during the long rains. What happens is the long rains normally come in the months of late March, April, May, June there. That's when we have the long rains, and then we have short rains around October, November, December. But we will not be surprised if we see any rains now. Kenya, we got 2 seasons of rains, the long rains and the short rains. And in the Masai Mara, generally we get about 1,000 millimeters of rainfall in a year. Well, what we want to do is to move on. Maybe we might see another angle to look at the same sunset. How does that sound, Jen? Okay. And so when it cools off like this, if there are any cuts along the way, they might wake up, and we're gonna keep going and see what other surprise you might have for you a little later. Very good. Who knows what could happen in the next few minutes? We might be very lucky. If not, we'll be heading towards the western side, and that's not very far from home. And just cross fingers, as I said, when it cools off, jackals maybe, hyenas on the way. So let's cross fingers and see what we get. got an extra layer on top just in case.
So you'll notice how we've now gone into infrared mode, just to be able to watch these lions. Now earlier on, there were some lions roaring in the distance, and you can see all these lions picked up their heads, and they were actually responding to those ones. So we never know, maybe if we give it some bit of time, we might just hear these lions roaring again. But you'll notice all of them have their heads up and are looking in one direction. So probably waiting for the other ones to respond, or maybe on their way to come and join up with the rest of the pride. So it was so funny because we had all these big lions roaring, and then the cubs wanted to join, but of course they can't roar at the moment. So you just heard like everyone like, and then the youngsters were like, ow, ow, ow. That young male is now trying to break off that branch. Courtney, I think those teeth are really sharp, especially now at this age. I'm sure it's basically like a couple of needles that's in that mouth. That's how sharp it would be. Because even though they are so young and they don't really have that strong jaw in comparison to some of the bigger ones, but if need be, they can still tear meat off a carcass. I mean, that has to be pretty sharp. As I said, imagine just we are rewarded with these lions roaring again. And that's the thing about them. It could be in the next 2 minutes, it could be in the next half an hour, it could be in the next hour. We just don't know. But it's always just incredible to sit here and just give it a go and see what we can get. Just have a look at this. This young cub is just so playful at the moment. I think he's getting restless. He's been drinking mom's milk probably the whole day and been resting up quite a bit, and now it's time to play. It looks like the whole pride's getting more and more restless. You can see some of them are starting to groom themselves. Others are stretching. Look at this one yawning here. And often when lions yawn like that, it's a good sign that they are getting more and more restless. And hopefully going to get up pretty soon. CMAC, their territory stretches roughly close to probably around 12,000 hectares. It's really hard to say. I mean, even for us following them for quite a bit, they do move off the property and back on, and depending on the time of the year, they sometimes move further on than in the wintertime than in the summertime. So it's really hard to put an exact number on it. But if I need to say, it probably covers most of Ngala and even some other sections off the property. And Ngala in itself is close to 15,000 hectares of area that they can move. And they won't necessarily move all the way to the northern side of the reserve, but there's a chance that when they do move off in the southern, maybe the western and the eastern side, they could cover quite a bit of distance. So it's really hard to say, but I would roughly say that will be the territory that they would cover, anywhere from 8,000 all the way to 12,000 hectares, if not more, if not less. See this young female, she's just picked a little stick that she's chewing on, and the young male is just off to the left, and he also found something quite interesting to play with.
We are back, and it's been fairly quiet, one could say, but it's gorgeous out here. There is no question about it. David and I were just talking about this insanely good light that's starting to develop now in the landscape, and that we're approaching that kind of like 20 minutes, 30 minutes before sunset, and the light is just going to get better and better and better. I've actually been following some lion tracks. Those ones that we had that the baboons were up and down after yesterday. So those lionesses were actually in this area with their cubs, and they moved them way down south to where we got them yesterday with that baboon incident, and they've made a beeline back up into this area. But they're in this block on the left, and these blocks are immense, very, very, very big. So I don't want to spend too much time off the vehicle. I'd rather just keep moving and check if anything crosses over here. So it is what it is, and I'm being all philosophical about it now, because there is no other way. But it's just good being out, and it's great that you're actually able to join us. And I know the other guys have been seeing some insane stuff, and TRISHALA's been getting amazing sightings, and it's just all grist to the mill. No questions. Don't be shy. Ask. Unless we know everything about this landscape, which is possible, I guess, but unlikely. Amanda has asked, how often do animals get struck by lightning? I'm just going to stop here, otherwise we're going to lose signal here quickly. It's actually not as common as one would think. We've had it, I've seen it on swallow 3 times with giraffe. I've seen it twice with buffalo. Okay, so that's 5 times that I know of, and that's, I mean, we can assume, you can probably extrapolate that, you know, in terms of a area that you've covered and compared to what's actually happening, but it's really not a lot. I mean, you know, in the big picture, I've seen zebra hit by lightning, and that's interesting, because when lightning hits zebra, there's stripes go all zigzag like that, which is quite odd, I think. But it's not a common occurrence.
We have a little bird that is asleep in this magic quarry. It looks like a long-billed crombeck, but it's very difficult to see, as you can tell. If you often wonder, why don't birds sleep in their nests? It's because nests are only for times when they have eggs and young. For all the other times, they need to find a spot to sleep in. And passerine birds, or birds that don't live on the ground, they sleep in trees, or they tuck in for the night in trees. Isn't that really cute? I've seen many, many birds do this. Now, ground-dwelling birds like lapwings, and water techniques and things like that, they would find a spot on the ground to tuck in. Look at that, so well hidden. I'm quite sure it's a long-billed crombec. Hard to tell with this kind of angle. I don't want to get too close, nor do I want to shine the light on it. So that defeats the purpose of being well hidden. And Krishna, you say it's the first time you're seeing a sleeping bird? Well, it's not quite asleep, but it's definitely tucking in. Birds will definitely sleep. And sleeping is essentially just switching off the brain for a little bit. Some birds can even sleep while they're flying. But they generally engage in hemispherical sleep, where one part of the brain can sleep while the other part stays awake in order to control the motor skills. But this little bird here will have a normal sleep. No half-brain games for it. Look at how well hidden it is. That's really, really cool. It looks super fluffy. Really, really small too. Now I saw quite a dark eye stripe with a white sort of face and dark bill, and that orangey breast, while the rest of it was quite dark. I didn't see much of a tail, so I think long-billed crombec is not a bad guess. Nice. Well, let's leave this bird to sleep in peace. It's probably not very happy that it's been discovered in its really, really awesome hiding place. Anyway, right? So the darkness is set upon us, almost. So spotlight is out now. We're going to have a look at what else we can find.
So now we heard some lions roaring in the distance, and I wonder if it's not that young male and the other female, or the female that's separated from the rest of the pride, and if she's trying to join up again. You can see some of them still have their heads up, and they do not just care or listening out to hear if there's any other noise. Now it might be because of these lions responding a bit earlier, those two know exactly where they are, and they are making their way in this direction. And based on where they were seen, I'm sure if the lion had to start moving, it would probably take them close to 15, maybe even 20 minutes to get to where these ones are. That's how far separated they are, and if they had to walk at a normal pace. Might even be a little bit quicker as well, depending on how fast they're moving and if they responded immediately. Minami, with the pride, they sometimes, if they do move into the western side of the reserve, there could be some competition from that side with possibly another pride of lions. But in terms of their competition, within the area that they operate, there's no real competition because if there's any hyenas, they chase the hyenas away. If there's any leopards, they chase the leopards off. They kill. If there's any wild dogs, they'll chase them. So there's no real pride that's currently threatening them. The only competition that they do have, though, is when they move away from this area into other areas. They might compete with other prides for food, but also for territory. But they are quite a big pride, and they are really strong. And most of the time, whenever they do move in the area, they tend to push all the other lions out. But you never know with some of the areas more to the west. I'm not too sure in terms of the makeup of some of those prides, but I'm sure if they are bigger and more, and there's more females or more males with that pride, they'll probably put a lot of pressure on this particular pride to move back. But in their area that they normally move in, there's not a lot of real competition from outside. Most of the competition is internal whenever they do kill something, especially something as small as an impala, maybe a warthog, or a little zebra or wildebeest, that there's a lot of competition amongst the members for who gets a bite out of it. Just have a look at how relaxed this young male is. You'll notice just around his neck and under his chin there's a slight mane growing. And as we mentioned during our drives, and also from looking at the other male earlier on in one of our segments, is that it would only take a couple of years for these young males to eventually have that very impressive mane that covers their whole neck as well as in between their ears. I wonder if he didn't smell something. Notice how he lifted his head up and he was sniffing the air. You can see he just lost. There was a fly that was moving around his head, and that's what he was trying. That was what distracted him at the first place, and now he's trying to get it.
So look at what we've got here. It is a duiker, and I'm whispering, which is also something that I don't do very often, because it's quite close to the car. Now, I'm sure you've seen all the gloomy light this afternoon. It's got dark quite quickly. So this duiker has decided to come out from its normal hidey spots, because they're quite secretive, these little antelope species. And I think it's eating the pods or leaves from a leadwood tree. But it's really awesome. You can see how careful it's being, though. It literally can hear everybody in camp, and every time anybody says or it hears a sound, it pops its head up. But I suppose when you're this little, you're quite vulnerable, especially in dry season. There's not much vegetation to kind of hide behind. But that's really awesome. I actually didn't know that they would have eaten the pods of a leadwood tree, so that's a new thing that I can put on a duiker menu. I suppose I've seen them eat stranger things like mice, which is not too foreign for this little mammal. But it's so cool. We're actually lucky. Sometimes we see steenbok even coming down to have a drink at the dam, and it's not an uncommon sight to see the duiker doing the same thing. And normally these two antelope species will get a lot of their moisture from the vegetation that they sort of feed on. But that's such an awesome sight. You're very little. I can also hear something behind me. I wonder if a buffalo or something coming down, but I'm not going to move around too much. Yeah, you can eat in peace. You can eat all of those pods without anybody disturbing you. And I reckon all the vervet monkeys and baboons that have been up this tree during the middle of the day have definitely helped shaken the branches up and drop those pods down to the ground. Joy in Hong Kong, yes, you're correct. It is a common grey duiker. It's just to the left-hand side of the tree, Seb. It's just sneaking around. You can just see it moving behind that branch. So this is the common species of duiker that you kind of see around South Africa. But if you're at and beyond Phinda, you might be lucky enough to see a red duiker. But unfortunately, we won't see them around here. I actually don't know if you'd be able to see them if they'd have signal down on the sand forest, but it's beautiful down there. And then my favorite is actually the blue duiker, which I've seen a lot of down in the Eastern Cape. They're so small, even smaller than this, which is kind of hard to believe.
Here we have two scrub hares that are having some fun together. Oh, that's interesting. They've been feeding together a little bit, but also trying to ignore each other. At first I thought that maybe they'd be interested in mating. But I certainly can't tell male from females. Females are slightly larger than males. And that's about the only difference you're going to be able to see. Your friend is gone. Yes, it's because you're not clean enough, and that's why you've got to clean up. I really, really love scrub hairs. I think that they're absolutely gorgeous and quite entertaining to watch. Up and off it goes. You can see that little eye still popping up, that reflective layer. I'm going to keep on going too. See what else we can find for the final few minutes of the show.
We have found a giraffe. Now, you're not going to be able to see this, but the giraffe is quite pale. So it is not born in those very dark patches that we've seen in a lot of other giraffe recently. And we've been doing an informal verification of the theory that dark giraffe tend to be on their own because they're risk takers, and lighter giraffe tend to be in groups because they are not risk takers, that is. The coloration, they're not really sure what it is exactly that causes the different coloration, but most likely testosterone. For those of you who've heard that before, I'm sorry. But here is, and so far it's been borne out by our informal research. Here is an exception. Here is a light-coloured giraffe on his own, and he doesn't seem to have any friends. But by and large, our informal verification of the experiment has proven to be true. But here is an exception. Although I think I can hear one behind us. Maybe it's a friend of his in close proximity. The wind has calmed down, so there's some lovely evening sounds. Drongos and crickets mainly. Robins. Way in the distance, a Scops owl. There's lovely fresh smell too down here because we're close to a riverbed.
Mike, coming from Michelle.
Very earthy smell.
We've been so lucky that earlier on, the whole pride started getting up and started moving into direction, and it was that other female and the young male that came to join up with the pride. So from them responding a bit earlier was just probably telling the others this is where they are, so they need to start making their way back. Now if we spend some time here, just notice from where these ones all are, off to the right, under the tree, there's another female that's lying down. See the one right there? No, that's the one that was lying down with that young male a bit earlier. And the young male is just basically in the back. We can't really see him too clearly, but this is that female that came closer. And the biggest question one can ask is, where are these lions going to move from here? So they came from the western side. They are moving a bit more towards the central area of the reserve and possibly even east. So maybe even tomorrow they might be around quite close to the camp. They could have moved more towards one of the waterholes for a possible drink. And also, like from here on, there were some lions that we could hear calling off to our right. So where we're seeing them now, so imagine if you had to draw a line just off to the right of the screen, probably a couple of kilometers away, is where we heard some more lions calling. Could be the two dominant males that are calling, trying to meet up with the rest of the pride. This afternoon has just been so incredible, especially all across all the different reserves and in the different countries, and being able to see all these spectacular animals. And who knows, maybe tomorrow morning we'll see where this pride is going to be, possibly some other animals. But just wanted to say from all of us, thank you so much for all our viewers for watching, and I hope that you have a lovely day.